Hello everybody, it's your boy K to the A to the T to the O, back at again with another video. I know, it's been a while, but here we are returning for some exciting new DBD news. I've been playing a lot of DBD on my Twitch channel, Old Fashioned Kato. Go check it out, twitch.tv. I've been streaming a lot of different games and stuff, but I always do be streaming DBD, etc. And as this video comes out, tomorrow is the Five Nights at Freddy's PTB, so we're actually going to be exploring a lot of the new changes, first time reaction to all these new changes, and tomorrow obviously we will be live streaming, have our live reaction to Springtrap and all of his powers and perks and the brand new map, and then we will be playing said map tomorrow as well. Very excited news, very exciting times to be a DBD fan, content creator, all those other things, but we're going to look at it, all these upcoming changes. Obviously, there will be a little bit of a bias because I am more of a survivor main than a killer main, so there may be some takes or things you do not agree with. I have no idea what these are like, but let's just read through them together and get started. The 9.00 update will be here before we know it, and it's time once again to take a look at notable gameplay changes you can expect from tomorrow's PTB. As with last time, stay tuned for the PTB patch notes where we'll share precise values that are changing for each of the topics below. Alright. Going next, prevention. Now, I know they talked about this a lot at the actual live stream at PAX East when they were revealing FNAF for the first time, etc. They really want to go down on people trying to kill themselves immediately, etc., etc. So let's see what type of changes they are adding to the PTB. Added a system to identify whether a survivor's sacrifice is an intentional attempt at going next. So I'm assuming what this means is if you get on the hook, first hook, and you're not even attempting to press the space bar, you're just letting it go all the way, so you miss it, and you miss twice in a row and you die. Now, this could be easily just be able to do it wrong, like maybe if you spam space or if you press space just out of the wrong, not within the skill check limit, maybe you can get around this, but we'll have to see how in-depth it is. If a player is identified as intentionally going next, they will receive a DC penalty point. Okay, that's good. A lot of issues players had is people facing a killer they don't like initially and just initially killing themselves off rip. I feel like a lot of people have done this, especially since there was no penalty to it. So if you really didn't like a killer and didn't want to play against them, a lot of people just killed themselves off rip, didn't really want to play against them. And since there's no penalties anymore, like you wouldn't go down in rank or anything like that, there was really no reason not to do it. So I feel like this is a pretty overall good change, but we'll have to see how it plays out. Remove the option to self-unhook on first hook stage unless they have one of the following equipped. So you can't even self-unhook anymore unless you're running one of the following perks. Slippery meat, which makes sense. That's the whole point of slippery meat, is it gives you extra chances to unhook on first hook and you have a higher percent. Up the ante, which increases all luck of all the players. Okay, or a luck offering. Interesting. So anything that increases your chances of unhooking yourself, that is the only way you're going to have the option to self-unhook. Which is interesting. I mean, all that really means is one player has to bring an offering, like increase luck or whatever. I mean, which isn't, I guess, a bad thing, because if you increase the luck, you do have a higher chance of actually unhooking yourself. So even if you're trying to go next, I don't know. That's interesting. I think that's overall good, but we'll have to see. Added unlocks the ability to attempt to unhook yourself effect to luck offerings. Makes sense. Survivors are no longer instantly killed after 2 struggle skill checks pass without any input. Okay, so this is what I was thinking they would do. Because a lot of people, they would get hook on the first hook, and then they just would keep their hands off the keyboard or the controller or whatnot, and just let the skill checks go by. And once you miss 2 in a row, you would insta-die. But now, that doesn't seem to be the case. Although the issue with this, the only issue I'm seeing that might cause issues with this is, say, there's one survivor left and it's your first hook, or not first hook, I guess, second hook, and then you try and miss 2 skill checks on purpose so you can die and your other teammate has a chance to get hatch. That's the only issue I can actually see with this change, because overall I think this change is quite good, but this definitely does seem to be a little bit of a problem. But we'll see how they tackle this. The disconnection penalty system is not active on the PTB, so certain facets of going next will not be applied to a test. Okay, that makes sense. We made the change above in order to tackle going next from 2 directions, penalizing repeat offenses and limiting exploitability of self-unhooks by restricting early match unhooks to specific perks and offerings. Still allow players to work it into their strategy while limiting cases where it's used in bad faith. I don't think that's a terrible idea. It seems overall better. We'll see. Updated AFK detection. Okay, extreme hiding update. Oh, God. We'll see how this is. Hiding. I don't think, honestly, hiding should be this penalized unless they are actually AFK, not moving. But if you were sitting in a corner trying to hide, that is an actual strategy sometimes. Like, say there's 2 players left, the killer's slugging the dude on the ground. You know he's just going to sit there and wait till the dude bleeds out or dies. I don't know. Being able to hide is good, but we'll see how this works. Reminder, if a player is considered AFK, crows will gradually begin spawning above the survivor, beginning with 1 and capping at 3. Once the survivor has 3 crows following them, they lose collision with other players. What does that mean? With this updated system, we adjusted how the game identifies players who have stopped contributing to the match. While the crow system largely functions as before, an additional effect at 3 crows prevents survivors from intentionally griefing teammates with body blocking, while also preventing the killer from holding survivors hostage. Oh, I see. So if you were say like the killer trapped you in a corner and you got 3 crows because you can't move, he's just holding you there. Once you get the 3 crows, you lose collision with other players, so you're gonna be able to run through the killer and or your teammate if your teammate's griefing. I actually like that a lot. That's a good update. Wow. That's my first round of applause. That seems to be overall just an overall good update. The going next thing seems good, but we'll have to see an actual gameplay if that's good. This overall just seems like a good update. With this updated system, we adjusted how the game identifies players who have stopped contributing to the match. An additional effect at 3 crows prevents survivors from intentionally grieving teammates with body blocking, but also preventing the killer from holding survivors hostage. Yeah, overall, pretty good. Okay, the Bloodwed spending improvement. This is by far one of the most requested stuff. Spending Bloodwed money takes way too long in DBD. It is by far the thing that takes the longest. If you have over 1 million or a couple million blood points, it takes ridiculous long amount. Even if you spam the auto Bloodweb in the middle, it just takes way too long. So we'll see how this works. Added an auto Bloodweb button, which allows you to set how many levels you want to automatically progress through blood points permitting. It's no secret that this is the most common community request, so we're excited. Put this in your hands. It's what it says on the tin, so check out the GIF. Even better, remove some recurring pop-ups after you see them once to make sure your Bloodwed is even more snappy. So it seems to be you're going to be able to instantly put how many levels. So this character is Prestige 3. He puts in 50 to instantly go to Prestige 4. And it says at the bottom right here how much it's going to cost. So one level's 9,000 blood points. That one's 1 million, whatever. So that amount down here. This is fantastic. We've really needed this. This overall seems really good. Now, we'll have to see what type of... It didn't show a pop-up of all the items and stuff he got, so I'm going to be able to tell which items you did get or add-ons you did get. Will be a little concerning, but at the end of the day, if you just want to quickly level up a character, this seems to be the best way. Mori update. Okay, let's see what they have to say about Moris. Updated the Mori system so it can now be activated when 2 or more survivors are dead. Excuse me? I'm so confused. Wait. Updated the Mori system so that it can now be activated when 2 or more survivors are dead. So about half the lobby's dead. And the following occurs. Okay. The second last survivor is hooked and on struggle phase. Okay. The final survivor is in one of the following states. Final survivor is in one of the following states: healthy, injured, or dying. With this change, killers will be able to activate their Mori earlier, so long as victory is assured, removing the need to wait for any hooked survivors to be sacrificed. This will let players on both sides get back in the action sooner. Okay, so from my understanding, this mostly only affects when someone was hooked on struggle phase and you downed the last survivor. Instead of you having to wait for the last person to struggle, you now have the option to Mori the last person even while the other person's on hook. That seems to be just a positive change, but I don't understand what the final survivor is in one of the following states. Because when 2 or more survivors are dead, the second last survivor is hooked or on struggle phase, and the final survivor is healthy, injured, or dying. So pretty much if... Okay, I see now. Pretty much if one of the survivors is about to die, on the dying state, like struggling on the second hook, trying to not die, and you down and kill the last survivor, you'll be able to Mori them. I see. Okay, that actually seems like a good update. For a second there, I thought they were saying as soon as you down the second last survivor, you can Mori them and Mori the last survivor. That would be a little bit ridiculous, but this seems to be good. That seems to be overall good. Math offering updates. Okay, let's see what they do with map offerings. Map offerings grant a flat percentage chance of being sent to the associated realm. This chance is no longer a guaranteed. Okay, good. That's good. I like that. I think it was a bit dumb that someone could put a map offering in and they had pretty much guaranteed you were getting that map. It was a bit ridiculous, especially if you were really comfortable as the map as a survivor or a killer. You would just always do that because you would get so many offerings of that specific thing, and it just became a little bit lame. So having it be a chance... That's a good change, I think. Map offerings no longer stack. That's really good. So before, if you just had like 3 people bring the same map, it guaranteed pretty much you were always getting it. Map and gameplay affecting offerings and treated as secret during the loading screen reveal. By making map and gameplay affecting offerings secret on loading screens, our intention is to preserve the element of surprise, preventing the opposing role from starting the match with knowledge of your strategy. Okay, so now they're making map offerings secret as well, so that people don't instantly know, hey, someone did bring us here on purpose. They probably have some sort of game plan. This is a good and a bad thing, I think. I don't know. This could go both ways. I could see how killers would bring this a lot, and then survivors would die, and they would get rolled, and then after the game, they look at the offerings list and see, oh my god, this guy brought us here on purpose. Like, what a little piece of, I could see how this could be annoying, but I think overall these are some good changes. Overall, it's been some really good changes. Um, by making map and gameplay affecting offerings secret on loading screens, our intention is to preserve the element of surprise, preventing the opposing role from starting the match with knowledge of your strategy. Let's see the spawn rules now. Adjusting the following spawn rules. Survivors spawn as close together as possible. Interesting. Okay. Survivors spawn on the same floor, where applicable. The killer will not spawn at the center of small maps. That's good? I think that's good. Change the name of Shroud of Separation to Shroud of Vanishing and change its effect to nullify offerings that change survivor spawn locations. Change the name of Shroud of Binding to Shroud of Separation and change its effect to spawn survivors apart from one another. Interesting. With these changes to spawn rules, players will find their spawn locations to be more consistent when not affected by offerings. We also know that certain Shroud offerings have historically worked counter to what each role might want, so we adjusted them to better line up with the exceptions. Okay, so now default, you will spawn really close with your teammates almost every time, unless you use a specific offering. I think that's good. That's overall good. A lot of people do like spawning together, especially if people are using like Prove Thyself or anything that need multiple teammates. I can see killers not liking this. And again, yeah, if your playstyle is to spread out, there will still be an offering that should make that so. Yeah, Shroud of Separation. Or whatever. I see. Added a video category to the graphics setting menu. Added a brightness setting to the video to adjust gamma. Okay, this is overall just a good change. Pretty much as a game that really is heavy on the play between light and dark, which can be difficult to strike a balance between while playing on console. Given the more limited options available to help elevate this, we've added a setting for adjusting gamma, which gives player more control over how light and dark elements are. On the lowest setting, it makes it like pitch dark. On the highest setting, it makes it really, really bright. That's good. Yep, having gamma settings, very good. Overall good. Good change. Increase spectator slots in custom game to 5. I don't recall what it was before. Maybe it was 4, so adding 5 is interesting. Added hotkey inputs to custom game spectating to quickly switch the view to a specific character or cycle through character views one by one. That's really sweet. Added controller support for the above improvements. Hell yeah. Not only is custom match a way to easily play with friends, it's also a valuable tool for coordinating tournament play to help streamline its uses in these environments. We added hotkey support to added various methods of view switching to the game, making cast on the fly even easier, plus the increased spectator slots. Tournament organizers have the option to give viewers visibility of all players in a match at once. Okay, that makes sense. Increasing it to 5 lets every single person have a POV. That's kind of nice. Even better, we have more improvements coming to custom match in a future update. Awesome. So now we're getting into actual killer and survivor updates, it seems. So let's see what they have done. The artist, they haven't actually changed the artist in a hot minute. Adjusted several add-ons. Overall, the artist is in a solid place between balance-wise and both useful add-ons. That's true. Artist has kind of been middle of the road a little bit for a very long time, mostly because she doesn't get buffed or nerfed really too often. She seems to have a very solid kit, but it's nothing like crazy extraordinary, so she's always kind of just been middle of the road. Let's see what they have to say about that. Useful add-ons that meaningfully change how her kit works. To encourage even more pick variety among these, we adjusted her top and bottom performing add-ons to bring their usefulness more in line with her other options. Okay, so we'll just have to read her add-ons once that comes out, just to see what they are changing. That this is a whole lot of kind of a nothing burger. It just means we have to wait till the PTB, and then the artist mains will pretty much tell us if the add-on changes are good for her top tiers. It sounds like they're nerfing her top tiers, but then also buffing her bottom performing add-ons. So we'll have to see what that entails. Lich. Vecna has not been touched in a hot minute, so Let's see what they are doing. All of the Lich's spells are available at the start of a trial, so this is just an overall buff. Now Vecna gets all 4 powers on off rip. That's kind of nuts. Reduce cooldowns of all spells. That's a little scary. Dispelling Spear's projectile moves quickly when first cast and slows down over time. Okay. Increase the killer instinct duration when survivors exit Dispelling Spear. Okay, so they get, as soon as they leave the big ball, the flashes of like their heartbeat or whatever, like similar to the Legion, it'll be like ba-bum, ba-bum, and you see like a little, you don't see their aura, but you see their general location, like little pings. Okay, so he's just getting massively buffed. Increase the duration of movement, speed of fly. That's a buff. Increase the attack cooldown period after fly ends. So does this mean you swing faster when you stop flight? Because that's a little scary as well. Adjusted mage hand hold time to make it consistent for both killers and survivors, resolving a known bug. Interesting. Increase the effects of magic items when casting the associated spells. Adjusted several add-ons. So Lich overall has just been getting buffed. All of these are buffs. This could be very scary because I think Vecna he's not insanely good by any means, but a good Vecna can do a lot. So the fact that they are buffing every single spell, the people that were already good at Vecna were quite good. Just because he has so many different mechanics. Buffing every single mechanic at once is a little much, I think. I feel like this is overall not a great thing, because this is just going to make him even ridiculously stronger. He did need some help, I'm not denying that fact, but buffing, it seems, every single spell and aspect of the Lich. The only thing I don't think they've buffed is the ghosts at all, which, I mean, the ghosts are probably arguably the strongest part of his kit, so I understand why they didn't nerf those, but I mean, although they did technically in a small way because they just reduced the cooldown of it, so I guess in that sense they didn't buff it in any way, but they didn't buff all the cooldowns, so it's easier to get all of them. For the Lich, much of his power focuses on providing utility over reliably injuring survivors. We've adjusted his 4 spells to increase the frequency of which they can be used to ensure that there's more spell slinging, while quality of life adjustments help make sure these spells feel smoother to use. On the survivor side of things, we also wanted to ensure magic items feel like more viable options for countering each spell, so we buffed them slightly. Okay, so that's good to know. They did buff the survivor gear, so we'll have to see what those are like. They haven't listed them here. Maybe I'll list them further down, but let's take a look. Here are all the buffs to killer perks. Call of Brine, interesting. Updated Dark Devotion, very interesting. Hex Retribution, I feel like they just buffed that not too long ago. Machine Learning, Superior Anatomy, Terminus, Thrilling Tremors, and Thwack. We've adjusted values on the above perks, which boasted lower pick rates and kill rates, to introduce small buffs to increase their viability. Stay tuned for the patch notes for specific details on these value changes. And okay, let's see the Survivor. Now this is where I'm more excited, and we'll learn more about these tomorrow. But for the Survivor side of things, they updated Botany Knowledge. Ooh. So for those of you unaware what Botany Knowledge is, I know more about Survivor perks. I'm more of a Survivor player, so if you're looking for killer side, I'm sure some killer or some great DBD killer killer YouTubers, content creators will give you more in-depth of what they think these will be. Since I'm mostly a Survivor player, I will give you my thoughts and all these. So let's see. Botany Knowledge is Claudette's perk. It's her healing perk, so pretty much when you have it equipped, you would get 50% healing bonus, but you would get 20% less healing charge. Like, you would go through healing charges 20% faster. So if you were using a med kit, you would run out of charge 20% faster. But the counter to that is you would heal 50% faster. But you also just default healed faster at a 50% rate. I'm very interested to see what they do with this. Yeah, I'm sure botany knowledge will be a buff overall. That looks to be a buff. I don't understand why it would be a nerf at all to do that. But yeah, I'm interested to see what they buff with that. Maybe higher healing rates, or maybe they're just going to completely lower the healing percent usage. We'll have to see. Updated Champions of Light. Now, they were talking about buffing this a little bit ago. Now, this could actually be a nerf or a buff. We'll have to see. So they got Counterforce here, which seems to be... that's Jill's perk here. Wow, they're actually buffing Jill's perk. So for those of you unaware, Counterforce was kind of a joke perk. Almost no one was using it too much. Pretty much all it would be doing is when you cleansed a totem, you would cleanse totems 20% faster. And once you cleansed a totem, you would get a stack buff of the next totem you cleanse. It would be at a 40% speed. So now you cleanse the second totem at a 40% speed. It also gave a little tiny buff every time you cleansed a totem. The furthest one from you is revealed for like 4 seconds. So this perk was like really only used for people that were running totem build. So people running like inner strength really, or maybe even like overzealous. I feel like, because this only happens when you cleanse them. This doesn't apply to boon totems, which I think all those types of perks honestly should affect boon. Like if you bless, like being able to cleanse or bless 20% faster would be quite nuts. I think that would be a significant higher pick rate for it, but maybe that'd be too broken, but I don't know. Counterforce doesn't seem to be used too much. So we'll have to see what they do with that. Next we got Desperate Measures, which I do know this one. This one is for Felix. I'm quite familiar with it. It's not that great. I used to use it all the time for my healing builds, and then I just swapped it for other things without healing buffs, healing metas. It seems to be on the lower side for sure. It just doesn't seem that great of a perk. But for those of you unaware, it was a Felix perk. Every time a perk or a survivor was injured, you would heal 14% faster and unhook 14% faster for each player injured. So obviously, if it was one person injured, it'd be 14%. Then if there was 2 survivors, it'd be 28%, and so far and so forth. Which, I mean, if all 4 were injured, you would heal pretty fast and unhook pretty fast. But that's, again, if every single person on your team was injured. And it was only like a, at the end of the day, you don't really want to be injured. If your whole team is injured, being able to heal them slightly faster than a Claudette botany knowledge up here, especially if they do buff botany knowledge up here to be even faster, because botany knowledge is a flat 50%, which is already significantly better than Desperate Measures, because at that point, being able to heal 14% faster if one survivor is injured, or just have 50% flat, I don't know. I feel like most people would use botany knowledge over that, me myself included, or even autodidact, pretty much anything other than that, the Felixes. So this has to be a buff. Yeah. Next up, we got Empathetic Connection, which would be Yoichi's perk. Interesting that they're buffing that again. Now, this could be an extra buff, and if so, that's kind of nuts. But pretty much they're buffing that. So they're either buffing them. sorry, let me describe what it is. Whenever a teammate is injured and you're running this perk, you see the person running this perk's aura from a 96-meter range, which is really, really far. And right now at this current state, it heals. You heal 30% faster when you're running this perk, and all your injured teammates can see you. That's kind of the idea, so that they can run to you, get some slightly faster heals, and they go on with their day. So they could increase the healing on that, which definitely seems to be the case, especially if they're buffing Botany and Desperate Measures. They probably will buff the healing, and I'm guessing they might buff the range of it as well. Not that it needs it, because, I mean, like 96 meters or whatever is quite far. So we'll have to see what they do. Exhilaration or exultation, or however you say this one. The Trevor perk. I know this one's Trevor's. Pretty much this one's kind of a meme perk. It has been for a while. Whenever you ran this perk and you stun the killer with a pallet, it would upgrade your item's rarity and it will give you 25% of the charge back. It was also on a cooldown of like 30 seconds. I think one way to buff that would be if you stun the killer by any means necessary. I feel like that would be really, really solid with like blast wire or wiretap or anything like that, or maybe even just like if you flash and stun him with like a flashlight, and you have like a green flashlight and you do that, then it turns that green that uncommon to a rare, which will then turn it to blue, and then turn it to purple, and then turn it to, you know. That would be quite cool. I think that would make that perk a lot more useful, a lot better, because it's kind of like, I don't know. A lot of people would rather just bring in if you were going to do something like that type of build, a lot of people would rather just bring in a super good item off rip. And people like to use Felix's, where if you use the whole entire item, it goes completely to zero. You go into a locker with his build to last, and it completely fixes the item to 99% charge. And then from then forth, every time you do it, it's like 24% less charge. But still, I mean, the fact that you get like pretty much 200% charge of your really good item, which most good items last a long time anyways, so I don't know. A lot of people would rather use Built to Last, but hopefully they actually buff this perk so it's actually usable and not as memey to use. And then Light-Footed. I'm interested to see what they do with Light-Footed. Light-Footed's been an interesting one, because a lot of the times it actually can be really solid, especially like high tier play, if you're going for flashlight saves, etc. Being able to run behind the killer directly and not hear any footsteps whatsoever makes it so a lot of killers just don't believe anyone's nearby. Especially if they take a quick look around and then they go to pick up and they don't hear a single thing. They just will assume they're alright to pick them up. And with Light-Footed, you can be sprinting and they still won't hear you. The only bad side to Light-Footed is when you fast vault a window. It goes on a 20-second cooldown or whatnot. So maybe they'll be buffing that. I don't really see how else they could change it. Maybe it's also a nerf. It could be a nerf as well. We don't really know, because it just says minor updates. Similar to the above, we updated values on some perks with lower performance, introducing small buffs, and we'll share the exact values in the coming patch notes. Until next time, the DBD team. So that's actually a whole lot of info. That's not even including the main chunk or content, which is Springtrap. We'll be learning about him tomorrow. Wow, some exciting stuff. Some very exciting stuff. Yeah, that is going to do it for today's video. I know it's been a while since I posted a video, so if you want more DBD or just other videos in general, I'll be making sure to put some more content out there for you guys, do some more stuff for the YouTube. But yeah, man, a lot of good stuff coming to DBD. Tell me down below, comment down below, hit that like button. If just tell me your general thoughts of what you think this update is about. Is it killer sided? Is it survivor sided? Whatnot? I love discussions. Yeah, so that's gonna do it. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys very soon, probably. I probably will have a lot of content tomorrow about the Five Nights at Freddy's stuff that I'll be trying to post as quickly as possible while probably also live streaming. But till next time, peace.